Hello, this is Rebel Whovian, and today I'm doing a custom figure review of the Reconnaissance Dalek from Resolution. To make this Dalek, all you need is a 2005 Dalek of the older sculpt, some milliput for the spheres and other parts of the Dalek, and a newer Russell T Davies Dalek for the claw and gun attachments, and a cocktail stick and some card. You also need some paint. The paint I used on this really stinks, which is kind of off-putting, but it doesn't really take away from it. The first thing I did was I took the Dalek apart and found a cocktail stick to put into the eye stalk, because the eye stalk from the 2005 Dalek wasn't accurate enough for my liking, so I decided to make it from scratch, apart from the end of the Dalek eye stalk, which I cut from a 2005 Dalek and just stuck on with super glue. After that, I created the card sections on the top of the dome. They were very fiddly, so if you are going to attempt this, I would recommend either get a parent to do it or preparing for a lot of tedious cutting to get the right shape. After the dome bit, I cut out lots of shapes out of card for the part below the midsection but above the skirt, and I stuck them all together with super glue. Once this was done, I sawed some pieces on the Dalek so that they'd be of a more accurate scale and shape. If you are going to do this, I'd advise a parent to help you, because using a saw is quite dangerous, as I realised once I cut myself a few times. I then got some milliput out to sculpt on some finer details, such as the small little sections on the neck, and I added a sort of rim to the bottom of the dome to make it more accurate. Once this was done, I began to stick it together with super glue, so I then decided to start painting. I stuck the dome to the next section to some of the card pieces underneath, and I was very happy with how it came out. After this, I painted the midsection, which I painted 3 times so it was dark enough. I also added some silver paint to a few sections and weathered that with brown and black paint. It was now time to work on the skirt section, which was the most tedious part because I had no idea how to do it. I was originally going to use the one from the 2005 Dalek, but they have 4 domes instead of 3, and I couldn't find a way to cut around them, so I had to make one from scratch. So I started off by measuring up the 2005 Dalek skirt, drawing that up on paper to make a template, and then I drew around that on card so I could make a card version of the skirt. I had to trim a few bits so it would fit into the bottom section, but eventually it did fit. It was now time to start creating the spheres. Now, I was going to 3D print them at first, but because I had no idea how to use a 3D printer, I opted to use milliput, which was an idea given to me by Captain Jimmy Pie. So in all, I had to create 18 of the larger spheres and 24 of the smaller ones. Afterwards, I started work on the base. For this, I just painted it silver, added some black and brown weathering, and added a black trim around it. It's not 100% accurate like most of this Dalek, but I think it looks quite good. Finally, I stuck it all together with super glue and gave it an overall dirtied wash, and then it was done. Starting at the top of the Dalek, we have the dome. I think this is the best part of the Reconnaissance Dalek that I made. The lights were already yellow because they'd been out in the sun, so that added to the dirtied effect of the Dalek. As you can see on the Dalek, there's a brown and silver wash to it. This just makes it look more dirty and rusty. And looking at the eye stalk, you can see that I've used a cocktail stick with a 2005 Dalek eye stalk on the end, with a bit of milliput around it to hold it together. Below that we have the neck section, which is basically just a normal 2005 Dalek, but I've cut a piece of it off to make it shorter. On the top ring, I've added the little blobs to make it more accurate. That was done using milliput. And below that we have some sections of card which have been painted brown and silver. Below that we have the midsection, which is the least accurate, mainly because I didn't know how to do it. All I did was I sawed parts of it to make it shorter so it was thinner, like the Reconnaissance Dalek in the episode. For the attachments, I used the attachments from the later sculpt of the 2005 Dalek, just because they were of a nicer sculpt, and instead of using the plunger I used the claw that came with the Stolen Earth set. Once again below that we have some more card which have been painted brown and silver. I think the card sections came out really well. If you look at this from a distance, I don't think you'd recognise that is card. Below that we have one of the parts I'm most proud of, which is the skirt, especially as I made it from scratch. I think it's as accurate as I'm going to get it. The spheres are of the right size, the right colour, and I just think it looks really good. And like the other card sections, you wouldn't realise that it's made out of card. And finally we have the base. As I said before, it's not the most accurate, but I did notice there was an indentation on the middle of the base on the prop, and I tried to do this with a knife but it didn't come out very well, so I just decided to cut out a piece of card, paint it black and wrap it around it, and that's it for detail. Doing a size comparison, you can see that the Reconnaissance Dalek is a bit taller than the 2005 Dalek, but not by much. The only problem with it is that it's a bit too big. Jodie should be a bit taller, but she's just a bit shorter than the Reconnaissance Dalek figure. So if I were to do this again, I'd probably make it a bit shorter So I hope you enjoyed this custom figure showcase of the Reconnaissance Dalek from Resolution. I haven't made one of these in a while, mainly because I haven't had a lot of time as I've been at college making short films, which you might have seen on my channel. But yes, more will be coming in the near future as I've got lots of customs to showcase. So thanks for watching, remember to comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.